Hey everyone, it's me, Marplotic. I'm coming at you again, unscripted. This is it's an update, but also it's my reaction to Final Fantasy 15 at E3. Firstly, as you all may know, Alice Through the Looking Glass did terribly at the box office. The thing was just a big, confusing, incoherent mess. As I said, it would be in my pre review. It wasn't really all that surprising about the poor performance. Secondly, the new Peach Dragon trailer is out, and wow, I guess they're trying to go for a Steven Spielberg kind of feel, but it just doesn't look like it knows where it's going. Oh, yes, and Pete's speaking perfect English. Of course, like what I had said, children that are feral in the wilds, their language regresses, but for some reason Pete's speaking perfectly, so it just suspends your disbelief for the film. All right, so here's the big main attraction of this video. Of course, E3 is going on. It's still going on. It is Wednesday actually right now as I'm recording this. Right now, what I am going to be focusing on the Xbox One gameplay and the trailer that was at the Sony press conference, or the PlayStation press conference rather. During the Xbox One Microsoft press conference, there was a demo of Final Fantasy 15. The demo was presented by the Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata and played by Matthew Kishimoto. First thing, right off the bat, when Noctis is fending off the Titan, he's holding up his sword and like staving off the Titan's hand. And it's kind of shaded underneath the Titan's hand. The lighting on Noctis was like really bright and stark. There was like a loss of details on his like skin. Like his arm was really distracting just the way it looked. That was like the first thing I noticed, and I was like, what? It's so jarring. Secondly, of course, the dropped frame rates. Now, of course, if you watched my pre-review on Final Fantasy 15 parts 1 and 2, I had said that during the episode Du Sky demo, the frame rates were dropping for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but it was particularly bad for the Xbox One players. So as Noctis was fighting this Titan, the frame rates rather kept dropping. There are some people, of course, saying, well, it was a gigantic Titan he was fighting. Of course, there could be some slowdown, but people were complaining about the frame rate last year, and they could have really, really fixed that. And if indeed there are too many things moving on the screen, they could have reduced them. Okay, so loss of detail, 1. Drop frame rates, 2. Also, bad sound mixing. Sometimes the voices were really, really loud, like it's almost drowned out the music at some points. And then at other times, you could barely hear them. It was really quiet, and you had to read the subtitles to see what they were saying. Here's some just details that bugged me during the gameplay. When the Titan first slammed his hand on the ground in the demo, there were no dust clouds. It slammed its hand, and you would think with such a huge impact there'd be some type of like debris flying, dust, something, but it was nothing. If you didn't notice it the first time you watched the gameplay, give it another view, and you will not be able to unsee it after that. Oh, also, the Titan's hand passed through rocks without destroying them or crushing them. The points were when his fist first slides towards Noctis from right to left. There's some rock formations on the left side of the screen, and the Titan's knuckles, you're thinking it's going to break them, it's going to clip those rocks. It just goes right through. And then about a minute later, he reaches his hands towards the Niflheim guards, and they're holding like their orange glowing weapons. When the Titan reaches for that, there's like this jutting of rocks coming out of the ground, and his hand goes right through that. There's no crumpling of debris or anything. Someone could say that's a nitpick, but this ultra-realistic game, there should be like more interactions with the background like that. I don't know. After 10 years of development, it should have had the most fluid and flawless gameplay we've ever seen. Some people were placing blame on Matthew Kishimoto's gameplay skills, but that's no excuse for the tediousness of the battle. My consensus for the demo, I don't know why, but it wasn't exciting. And rightfully, it should have been. There was all this movement, the Titan was massive, there were weapons flying everywhere. I don't know, maybe it would have been better had Noctis warped up the Titan's arm and the player had to have him fight at a really dizzying height, and all the while there are these disorienting camera angles showing the ground and just how high Noctis is up in the air. Okay, next, the trailer at the PlayStation conference. This was the next day. Noctis falling was a very strange choice as the opening footage. It didn't seem very grand visually, so I don't even know why they included that, but that's just my opinion. There's this giant bird that's flying. It looks like a zoo. There were these large hairs on its tail, and Noctis is walking underneath it. They were very, very stiff and very distracting. My eyes were just drawn to them when they showed the scene, and they were that distracting. Lots of jaggies. Lots of jaggies. This is a trailer, so this isn't someone could say, oh, well, the gameplay footage, it was just a glitch. This was a trailer. It should have looked really tight and really, really polished. I'm gonna say it. Some, not all of the parts in the game. It looks like it was running on a PlayStation 3. This does not look like a game that's been in development for 10 years. The visuals in this game, made on LUMINOUS engine, and Versus 13's Crystal Tools are remarkably similar. It makes you wonder if they should have just completed the game on Crystal Tools those years ago, instead of starting over from scratch on LUMINOUS. Where were the quiet, poignant parts in the trailer? The older trailers showing Noctis and Stella's discussion at the party, and Noctis sitting on the throne quietly, they just serve up more intrigue for the game than this constant bombardment of combat and speed that was in the E3 2016 trailer that we saw. Without reflective, quiet clips, the action just becomes numbingly redundant. So after the trailer, they were showing VR mode. It felt like just reduced speed first-person shooter, and not an immersive virtual reality experience. In the virtual reality version, you are supposed to be playing as Prompto. The view, though, looking through Prompto's point of view, it was too steady. There was no natural movements of the visual fields. When it did move, it felt like it was being controlled with a D-pad. Yes, it does eliminate any of the motion sickness inducing tendencies associated with quick moving and bobbing VR, but this was just the extreme opposite. It felt like I was watching the action through a camera on a tripod rather than Prompto's point of view. The only time the movements was fluid was during the car ride with Cindy. Overall thoughts on the Xbox One presentation, the PlayStation press conference trailer with the VR experience. It just seems like Square Enix worked so hard on this game for so long, like it's almost become the thing of legends how long they've been working on it. But just within the last year, they're just throwing in the towel. They're saying, we're done. And they're just giving us something that only feels about 85% complete. Some feedback said that, people shouldn't judge the game harshly, and others rationalized the low frame rates by saying the demo was meant to focus on gameplay and not visuals, and we shouldn't expect something 100% perfect. People have every right to voice their opinions about a game that's been in the works for a decade, especially when the presented footage is less than stellar. And 2, with the release only 3 months away, the visuals should be perfect, especially considering the delays the game went through, all in the name of graphics. And even if the demo was entirely showcasing gameplay and not graphics, again, the battle was somehow underwhelming. And just to clarify, no, the graphics aren't the only basis for my complaints. It may sound that way, but they're not. I guess I prefer turn-based battles when I'm playing Final Fantasy. If I want to play a real-time fighting Square Enix game, I'll just grab Kingdom Hearts. I really liked the turn-based style. It required a lot of strategy to plan your moves. Unfortunately, though, turn-based battling has lost a lot of popularity. With Final Fantasy 15, Square Enix, it seems, is giving us a Kingdom Hearts clone. But even that, the lack of turn-based battling isn't the solitary driving force behind my gripe. After all, I knew the developers wanted Versus 13 and 15 to be an action title, so I figured turn-based fighting wouldn't be included in the finished game. I suppose my frustration stems from the fact that it's taken 10 years for this game to happen, and there's nothing breathtakingly spectacular about it. The graphics don't stand out, the fighting doesn't stand out, the game feels very familiar, and it shouldn't feel familiar because of the 10-year developments. It should be something that we've never seen before, just so unique in its delivery. After a decade, one's expectations tend to be a bit high when they're waiting for something. But just what we're seeing, Noctis running around, Noctis and the friends pushing the car because it's out of gas, it just does not look like something we've been waiting 10 years for. Perhaps there's a better part in the game with more, I don't want to say action, because of course the Titan battle, there was action, there was movement, but I don't know, there was just something off about it, it seems, and maybe there are just other parts in the game that translate better into gameplay and excitement. But just from everything that's being presented about it, currently, it feels like it's getting lost amongst other games. It's just blending in with other games. It feels very safe, as though Square Enix was not wanting to take any risk with this game, and that's a real shame. Who knows, the finished game may be fantastic and exceed all expectations, but I want to hear your opinions. What do you all think about Final Fantasy XV's trailers and gameplay footage that you saw at E3? Are you excited about it? Are you worried? Be sure to leave your comments below. Oh, and before I go, thank you to my new subscribers. I'm still working on the Slender Man movie pre-review, as well as a new miscellaneous musings. So, catch you later.